Hi guys and welcome. My name is Sarah and today I'll be taking you through your practice. So today's practice has been designed around twists and a little bit of balance. The class is focused more towards people that have a yoga practice already, so it's not necessarily like the term intermediate, but someone that has established a practice within yoga. As always with your practice as well, if at any time something doesn't feel right for you, just come and stop, have a break, take a child's pose, or if there's a certain pose that's not calling to you, just simply leave it and coming to whatever pose you'd like to explore today. This is your practice, so it's your freedom on your mat to express yourself and how you wish to practice today. So we're going to be on our practice today with Ujjayi breath. So when you feel ready, come to find a nice comfortable seat that might be sitting on a prop, maybe a block or a bolster if you have those, and if you don't, not a problem, just incorporating something like a rolled up towel or maybe a big sofa cushion. They're usually quite good as well. Lovely. So when you've found your props, come in to find your seat. And coming to bring some awareness into the spine, finding length. So we're creating a nice long spine, we're not slumping forward. Maybe closing down the eyes or taking a soft gaze. And bringing a slight tuck of the chin towards the chest. And placing the hands anywhere on the body that feels right for you. Or maybe they're away from the body. And to begin, Ujjayi breath, also known as victorious breath or ocean breath. We're going to start with the mouth open to begin with. So if it's there for you today, we're inhaling through the nose. And as you exhale through the mouth, we're making a noise that resembles ha. So it will sound like this. So imagine you are fogging up a mirror. So you're standing in front of a mirror and you want to create the fog. So you would create that heat from the breath that would therefore create that mirror fogging. So just taking that 3-4 rounds, the mouth open. Not forcing the breath, or allowing it to be a natural exhalation and inhalation. And then when you feel like you've done your final round of breath with the mouth open, I'm going to move with practicing with the mouth closed. So taking an inhale through the nose if it's there for you, closing the mouth and coming to make the same sound, the same visualization, the same feeling of fogging up that mirror. So it's constricting the back of the throat. Once again, we're not being forceful with this motion. Knowing if the mind wanders, that's perfectly natural, just simply bringing it back to the inhale and the exhale of fogging up the mirror with the mouth closed. So Ujjayi practice is a great breath practice in asanas, getting ready, getting the body ready. It creates warmth through the breath, which in return warms up the lungs, can warm up the blood, can warm up the body for the asanas, for the movement. It's also very calming and soothing to the nervous system. And staying here for 3 to 4 more rounds of your Ujjayi practice. And there's no rush, but when you feel like you've done your final round, coming to find a natural rhythm of breath, so letting go of your Ujjayi practice and just allowing the breath to be natural, this natural rhythm. And then coming to open up the eyes if you've closed down the eyes, and bringing your senses back to the external well. And we're going to find our way to sit over the tops of the heels. So once again, you might like to incorporate a prop in that might be sitting on the block, or putting a pillow in between the heels and the buttocks. And then when you've come to find yourself seated over the heels, we're going to extend your right arm up towards the ceiling. We're sending the left arm out beside us onto the fingertips, and then we're leaning the right fingertips over towards the left side of the room, coming to find a lateral side stretch. And then bringing the right hand down, coming to extend the left arm up towards the ceiling, coming over to find a stretch across the left side of the body. And the gaze might be down towards the mat, or maybe up towards the ceiling, or straight ahead. And then alternating between both sides, maybe taking a pause, maybe the palm comes down to the front, to the mat, and you find a bit more depth in your range. And we're still maintaining the sit bones down towards whatever foundation we are sitting on. And then when you've come back over to the right side, we're extending the fingertips, left fingertips over towards the right side. And then taking the body, so we're turning the body down. And then coming to open up, so we're turning the body up towards the ceiling. So we're rotating the chest up towards the ceiling. And then coming to place that left hand to the left side, extending the right fingertips towards the left side of the room, finding that side stretch. And taking the same motion, so we're turning that right arm down towards the mat, which in turn will turn the chest down. And then we're opening up the chest towards the ceiling, rotating the arm up behind us. And then coming to take 2 more rounds like so, on each side. And just bringing a little bit of different movement to the rib cage, and to the spine, to the shoulders. And then when you've done your final round, coming to take a seat back over the heels, coming into centre. And then coming to bring the right hand out in front of you. So the elbow is towards the rib cage, the palm is facing up towards the ceiling, so as if you was going to hold a platter or a plate. And then taking the left hand behind you, so the back of the palm might just rest on the back of the back. Or you might reach the hand all the way around and take a hold of the right elbow crease. And then on your next breath, we're taking the left ear over towards the left shoulder, finding a nice stretch across that right side of the neck. And maybe just bringing the head forwards just slightly or backwards, just finding the range and depth that works for you. Being mindful not to go too deep here. The neck does a lot of work for us, and it carries a lot of the body's tension and stress. Sometimes it's a place that we spend a lot of time on our phones, on the laptop. It's a place that we could do giving a little bit more TLC to. And then coming back through centre nice and slowly, and changing over the arms. So bringing that left arm out like a platter, either taking the back of the palm to the back of the back, low back, or bringing that right hand in towards the elbow crease. And then on your next breath, coming to lower the right ear towards the right shoulder. Just testing once again, maybe moving the head backwards and forwards very gently, finding what works for you here. And then on your next breath, coming back through centre, unravelling the hands and coming to place them beside the body or on the tops of the thighs. Next, transition into cat-cow. So this is seated cat-cow. So hands are coming over the tops of the thighs, maybe they're hovering, maybe they're touching. And then as we bring the hands towards the knees, we bring the chin towards the chest and we send the spine towards the back of the room, really doming round the back there. And on the next breath, the hands come back towards the hip creases, chest pushes towards the front of the room, creating a subtle arch for the lower back. And the chin might rise ever so slightly for your cow pose. And then moving between your cat pose and your cow pose. Maybe you want to incorporate a different version of the arms, so maybe you're cactusing them in your cat pose, your cow pose, sorry. And then turning the hands down, reverse cactus for your cat pose. Wow, I can't get my cat and my cows together today. Just taking any variation here. This is quite a nice variation because it just brings a little bit of rotation through the shoulders as well. And taking 1 to 2 more rounds. Perfect. You're ready. Coming off any props if you've taken a seat on any props and finding our way into a tabletop pose. So we're bringing the hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips and thereabouts. Edit. And then when you're ready, we're coming to place our, I'll come over to the other side, coming to place our weight into our right hand. We're extending the right toes out towards the right side, so we're kickstanding the leg out towards the outer edge. And then as we do so, we're sending that left leg back behind us for a version of side plank on the knee. So the hand might come towards the hip, just for a moment here. And then coming to hover that left leg, bending the left knee and taking a hold of the left foot with the left hand. And really feeding back that hand into foot, foot into hand. So we're kicking the hand in towards the foot. And then when you feel ready, we're extending that leg back out long. Arm might come up towards the ceiling. And then we're coming to turn to face the chest down towards the mat, bringing that right leg back in center. The left leg is still extended out long. And then we're coming to bring the left knee towards the left tricep and stepping that foot to the outside of the left hand. So finding ourselves into a lizard lunge, a low lizard lunge here. So the left shoulder's in towards the left knee. Maybe we take a few little rocks backwards and forwards. Maybe you even heel toe that left foot forward ever so slightly. And coming to find some stillness. And then when you feel ready, that back leg, we're now kickstanding that leg towards the left side. So the right toes are coming over towards the left side of the mat. We're firming down into the right to the left palm. And we're coming to extend that right arm up towards the side and then up towards the ceiling for a variation of side angle. And then coming to place that right hand back down, bringing that right leg back through center, coming to frame that front foot, so we're walking that left foot back in towards the middle for a low lunge. And then coming to frame that front foot, stepping that left leg back to meet the right knee. So we're coming to find a tabletop once again. And just taking a moment here. And then when you feel ready, we're going to kickstand that left leg out towards the left side.
So the toes are coming out, probably even just outside the left edge of the mat. We're coming to firm down into the left palm, and we're coming onto the blade edge of the right foot. So we're coming to find ourselves in a low side plank. That right arm is extending up towards the ceiling. And then we're coming to lift the right leg, flexing those toes towards the face. And then bending the knee, taking a hold of that right foot with the right hand. Maybe those left toes are tucked for a bit of extra stability, and we're kicking that right leg, right foot into the right hand. Great work. And letting go nice and gently, extending that leg back out. Come into place. That right leg, that right arm back down to the floor. We're coming back through center, so we're sending that left leg back into the middle. And then we're coming to bend the knee, that right knee, and stepping that foot towards, we're coming to bend that right knee, bringing it towards the right tricep, stepping that right foot outside for a lizard lunge on the right side. Maybe you're on the fingertips here. Maybe you have props underneath you if you're not quite able to get all the way down to the ground. And maybe you're taking that foot out, heel toeing it out, just to find a little bit more depth here in your lizard lunge. And then when you're ready, we're going to send those left toes over towards the right side now. So we're kickstanding that left leg out towards the right, placing that right palm down, sending that left arm out towards the side in a T as we then rotate up towards the ceiling, the fingertips, for a variation of side angle. And then coming to place that foot back down, and we're heel toeing that foot back in for a low lunge here. And then coming to frame that front foot, stepping that foot back into behind us, coming to find ourselves back into a tabletop. And then when you feel ready, we're going to tuck the toes, send the hands, a handprint out ahead of the hands, lift the hips up and back for downward facing dog. And taking a moment here in your downward facing dog to maybe pedal out the feet. And find some stillness when you feel ready. And we're sending the chest towards the thighs, the head is hanging nice and loosely between the arms. Gaze is in between the legs. Inviting in a soft bend to the knees if it's calling to you. And then coming to tiptoe our way towards the top of the mat, finding your way into forward fold. So that might be bringing your elbows towards your knees, fingertips or palms towards the mat, or maybe opposite hands to opposite elbows. Allowing your head and neck to be heavy here. Allowing the chest to drape over the tops of the thighs. And then letting go of the hands, firming down through the big toe, the little toe, the heel of both feet. And really grounding down before coming up to rise. Allowing the arms to be really heavy in front of you like a ragdoll. Chin is the last thing to come up as we then take the hands out nice and wide. Bring the palms up towards the ceiling. Maybe they meet as they draw down through heart center. Bringing the hands beside the body for Tadasana. And then on your next breath, bring the hands back up towards the ceiling. Palms might meet. And as they draw down through heart center, we're bending the knees, folding over the tops of the thighs. Coming to find your halfway lift. Nice flat back, gazes down towards the mat. And then coming to frame the feet, step the right foot back, then the left foot, and then gently lowering the knees down towards the mat. Untucking the toes, coming to lower the chest, the head. And coming to extend the legs nice and long. Maybe you lift the right leg and left leg. Before lowering them back down, firming down through the tops of the feet. And bringing the hands so they're nicely close beside the rib cage, energetically drawing the elbows in. And then lift the head, the chest for baby cobra. And then when you feel ready, we're going to lift back up into a tabletop, tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back for downward facing dog. And then on your next breath, coming to the top of the mat, however you feel you want to, whether it's a jump or a step, finding your forward fold. And then coming up, root rise. Drawing the hands back down through heart center, coming to find Tadasana. I'm going to take that one more time. And this time you might like to incorporate an up dog instead of baby cobra. The option is yours today. Just bringing the hands up above, palms might meet as they draw down through heart center, forward fold. Coming to find your halfway lift. And coming to frame the feet, either step or jump back to your high plank. Maybe you lower the knees down here, or maybe they stay lifted. And then slightly sending the shoulders ahead of the wrist, lowering down into low plank, and then coming over the tops of the toes, coming up to find your upward facing dog, or baby cobra if you've taken that option. And then when you're ready, we're lifting the hips up, turning over the tops of the toes, coming to find downward facing dog. I'm just taking a moment here. And then on your next breath, we're coming to bring the right hand over towards the left leg for a downward dog twist. So that might be that the right hand comes towards the thigh, maybe towards the knee, calf, or the ankle. And we're sending the body through the left side. And taking a breath here. And then coming to place that right hand back down, coming over towards the left side. And then coming to place that left hand back down, coming to find your... So from your downward facing dog, extending your right leg long behind you, so coming to find a three-legged dog. And then coming to either flex the toes or point the toes to find that engagement through the leg. Bending the knee and then opening the hip for scorpion dog. So ascending the right heel towards the left glute. And then re-extending, finding your three-legged dog. And then coming forward, bending the knee, sending the knee towards the right tricep or right elbow. Extending back up into three-legged dog. Coming forward, bending the knee, sending it through the center, hovering the leg here. Sending the leg back high for three-legged dog. Bending the knee, coming over towards the left. So we're twisting to meet the right knee towards the left elbow or left tricep. And then we're sending that right leg through the left side, coming to find fallen pyramid. So we're extending that left arm up towards the ceiling. Maybe you want to even hover the right leg for a moment off the mat. Before coming back down, sending that left hand back down, bringing the knee back in towards the chest. Back up one more time for three-legged dog. Before bringing the knee towards the chest, stepping it through, and coming up to rise for crescent. So coming to find your crescent lunge, setting up your foundation. Front knee is bent. Back knee, we're energetically sending that heel up towards the ceiling. So maybe taking a slight bend through that back leg. And we're going to hold here for 3 rounds of breath. And then when you're ready, we're coming to twist in our crescent lunge here. So if the arms are not up towards the ceiling, bring them up towards the ceiling and then fanning them open so that the right arm is behind us, left hand is in front. And if that doesn't work for you, bring the hands to heart center and turning the chest over towards the right side. Taking whatever variation is calling to you here. And then coming back through center. The next transition is going to be into half moon. So I should have said you might have liked to have a prop at the top of your mat if you're using props today. If not, no problemo. And if half moon is something you regularly practice and you want to go straight there, please feel free to do so. If not, we're going to bring the hands towards the hips. We're sending our weight into that right foot to begin with. And we're going to slowly bunny hop that back left toe in to come to find a hover. Just for a moment here, sending the body so it's parallel down towards the mat. And then we're going to slowly start to rotate the chest and the body towards the left side of the mat. And as we do so, embrace any wobbles, we're going to flex the toes. Maybe the hand comes down towards the block, the left hand might be on the hip still. Or maybe you're extending the left arm up towards the ceiling. For half moon. Really firming down through those right toes, finding that engagement here. And then when you're ready, we're coming to find the back leg and the back toes towards the mat for crescent lunge. And we're lowering that left leg, left knee down towards the mat, untucking the toes for low lunge. Coming to frame that right foot, and then we're going to heel toe the foot out towards the top of the mat for half splits. So we are energetically drawing the right hip back, left hip forward, finding our variation of half splits. The toes are drawing towards the face, we're firming down through the mat with the heel, magnetically drawing it back towards the body. And then on your next breath, we're going to take the toes over towards the left side, towards the right side, sorry. And then back through center, and then we're taking the toes over towards the left side. So we're creating this like open and close kind of motion valve with the foot. You might notice one side's a lot more open than the other. And as always, you can incorporate blocks here. You can also come onto the hips. Bring the hands towards the hips, which is a bit of extra added balance. And then coming to find stillness. And then we're going to slowly heel toe that foot back in underneath us as if we're in a low lunge. Coming to frame that front foot and then stepping it back into a plank. And you can either find a round of your flow of vinyasa here, or come to find a child's pose, or maybe sit over the tops of the thighs. And then if you've taken an option of vinyasa, remaining in your downward facing dog. And if you are in a child's pose, coming up to find your downward facing dog. And once you're in your downward facing dog, extending your left leg back behind you, finding your three-legged dog, and then bending the knee, sending the heel towards the glute, opening up the hip for scorpion dog. And then when you're ready, straightening the leg back to three-legged dog, bending the knee, coming forward into a plank as we send the knee towards the left elbow or tricep. Then kicking the leg back up for three-legged dog. Bending the knee, coming forward, stepping, bringing the knee towards the chest, stepping it back up for three-legged dog. And then coming forward, twisting the side over towards the right, bringing the knee towards tricep or elbow. And then coming to send that left leg through that side of the body, rotating that back leg down, sending the right arm up towards the ceiling, fallen pyramid. And then maybe you want to hover the leg here for a moment. And then coming to place that right hand back down, bringing the knee back in towards the chest, sending it back up for three-legged dog one more time, before bringing the knee back towards the chest, stepping it through for crescent lunge. So firming down before we come up to rise. And we're going to be here for 3 rounds of breath. And then on your next breath, we are guiding the chest over towards the left side of the mat. Maybe you're extending the arms out, so they're like wings, sending the left arm down the back of the body, the right towards the front, for a crescent lunge twist. And then drawing back through center. And we're exploring our half moon here, so either going into your transition, having that prop close by if you want to use it, bringing maybe the hands towards the hip, as we firm down through that front bent knee, that front foot, and we hop that back leg in, coming forward to find a body hover parallel to the mat. Sorry, I couldn't get my words out then. And we're flexing through that right foot. And then we start to turn the chest towards the right edge of the mat, balancing on that left leg. Maybe the hand comes down towards the block or towards the mat. Whatever's calling towards you. Maybe sending that right arm up towards the ceiling or keeping it on the hip. Really flexing those toes towards the face to help that engagement through that leg that's hovering in the air. And then come into place. Find those toes, those right toes towards the back of the mat, finding your crescent lunge. And then come into frame. That left foot for your low lunge, lowering that right knee down, untucking the toes, and coming to find the heel, so we're walking it forward until you find your variation of half splits. Once again, you might like some props close by. And we're sending the left hip back, right hip forward. Toes are drawing energetically towards the face. We're firming down, grounding down through that heel. Finding that sense of magnetically drawing the heel towards the body. And then exploring that open and close with the foot. So sending the toes over towards the right, then over towards the left. And just taking a couple of rounds here like so. And then coming to remove any props out of the way. Walking that foot back in so you're in a low lunge. Coming to frame the left foot. And then tucking the right toes, lifting the knee back up. Stepping back into a plank pose. And going through one final round of vinyasa. Or finding your way into a child's pose. Or seated over the tops of the heels. If you found your way through your vinyasa, come to find our way back into a downward dog, and if you're in child's pose, finding your way into a downward facing dog also. Then once you found your way into a downward facing dog, extending the right leg behind you nice and long. And then we're bringing the knee, so bending the knee, bringing the knee towards the chest. We're not stepping it through. We're turning the knee towards the right arm, and then we're gently placing the right knee behind the right wrist. We're slowly walking those toes back, the back toes, all the way back till they can't anymore, and then lowering that left knee, untucking the toes, coming to find pigeon. So if your pigeon is quite high like mine, you might like something like a prop to sit on, or maybe you want to allow it to hover. And with this variation of pigeon, you can either keep your fingertips on the mat, or maybe hands out in front of you. If you want something more active, maybe you could practice coming forward and back with the hands behind you, or if you want something more passive, coming forward, maybe all the way down to the mat. And taking any variation that calls to you. And taking one more round of breath here before coming to place the hands back down to the mat, tucking those back toes, lifting that back knee, and then coming to lift the knee back up into a three-legged dog. And coming to bring the right leg back down to meet the left, and then extending your left leg up and back for three-legged dog. Bending the knee, coming towards the chest. Instead of stepping it through, we are bringing the left knee behind the left wrist. Those back toes, we are walking them back till we can't anymore, and then the knee comes down towards the mat, untucking the toes. So the heel is coming roughly towards the groin, But if you are more flexible than I am, some people can get it 90 degrees towards the edge of the mat. You can play around with your placement and see what feels right for you. And once again, exploring whatever variation of pigeon is calling to you, whether that's sleeping or more active. And we'll be here for 4 rounds of breath. And when you feel like you've done your final round, if you've taken a version of passive, coming back up, and then just rolling off over towards the left side, towards the left hip. And then facing your long edge of your mat as we come into a wide-legged fold. So we're taking the legs out like nice and long, facing the long edge of the mat, and coming to remove any fleshy parts that might be underneath the sit bones so we can get a nice ground here. You might even like to have like a rolled up towel or a rolled up blanket, or maybe even a little sofa cushion that can help create some pelvic tilt. So if you are using something like this, just to come in to sit right on the edge of that prop so that it helps with that pelvic tilt coming forward. And then once you've found your setup, allowing the spine to be nice and long. Once again, energetically drawing the toes towards the face. Maybe the heels even hover for a slight second off the mat before placing them back down. And we're externally rotating the legs out towards the side. Maybe the hands are behind you, or maybe they're in front of you. Just seeing whatever variation feels right for you here. And in your own time, you can either stay where you are, or you can walk the fingertips forward, or if they're behind you, they can walk closer towards the body to come to find your wide-legged forward fold. And if you're using any props, once again, if you can't get all the way down towards the mat like myself, you can bring the elbows towards a prop, or maybe the forearms do come down towards the mat. And we're going to be here for 4 rounds of breath, so finding your end range, your range that feels right for you. Still finding that engagement through the legs, turning the toes out so they're, or turning the legs out so they're externally rotating out through the thighs. Maybe you notice with each breath, with each exhale, you can potentially move more forward into this pose. You can come forward a slight bit more. And walking them fingertips away from you. And just noticing that is any of the length in the spine compromised? Can you still maintain the integrity of the length of the back? And then if you folded forward, coming to walk the hands back in beside, inside the legs, taking the hands behind the backs of the knees as we draw the legs back into one another. Then coming to find the feet so they're just outside hip width apart. Maybe taking a few little window wipers side to side here. I can't seem to get my words out of my mouth today. Great work, guys. And then when you feel like you've done 1 or 2 more rounds of window wipers, finding our way down onto our backs. So we're coming all the way down towards the mat. Extending the legs out nice and long. Palms are resting beside the body. And just taking a moment here. And then on your next breath, coming to bend the knees, planting the feet so they're firmly on the mat. Now we're extending the right leg up towards the ceiling and then extending the left leg up towards the ceiling. Allowing the knees to be slightly bent, the ankles loose, the toes loose. Maybe even giving the legs a little bit of a wiggle and a jiggle, allowing them to find extra looseness. And then coming to raise the arms up towards the ceiling, the fingertips to ceiling. And the same, allowing them to be loose, maybe giving some little movements through the arms, through the wrists, through the fingertips, for allowing them to be heavy in mid-air. Coming to find your waterfall pose. And then on your next breath, coming to place the feet back down. Arms come down and taking the feet out as wide as the mat and allowing the knees to knock into one another. And coming to find a restorative rest here. And before extending your legs out long, taking the arms out wide, coming to find your final resting pose, your Shavasana. So that might be incorporating some props in, maybe if you've got a pillow or bolster, you might like it in underneath the legs. Maybe your Shavasana you want to take seated. Taking any variation that's calling to you. And once you've found your setup, just noticing is there anywhere else that you could become a little bit more comfortable. Maybe that's tucking the shoulders underneath the back. And maybe pulling the shoulder blades out slightly. Allowing the feet to drop out heavy to the side. And maybe closing down the eyes or taking a soft gaze. Allowing the jaw to be heavy. The forehead muscles to feel relaxed. Allowing the arms and shoulders to feel heavy. To feel grounded. And we'll be here for 1 to 2 minutes and I'll guide you back out when we've finished. Shavasana. Slowly start to bring your awareness back into the body. Maybe taking some small little micro movements through the fingers and the toes. And maybe incorporating some open and closes with the fingers and scrunches with the toes. And extending that movement into the wrists, into the ankles. And coming to send the arms over the head, taking the legs together, finding a really nice long body stretch, really stretching the fingertips and toes away from each other. Before coming to roll over to one side, maybe for one breath. And before pushing back up, coming to find a seat to close off your practice. And keeping the eyes closed or that soft gaze there if it's there for you today. And bringing the hands to join, palms to join, thumbs are towards heart center. And coming to lower the head so slightly so the chin is tucked towards the chest. And coming to bow to yourself in gratitude for your practice here today. And taking a moment to honour yourself and honour your practice and your time spent here today, to show up on your mat. To offer a moment of kindness to yourself and space.
From my heart to yours. Namaste. Thank you so much for your practice here today, guys. Wishing you the best day.